I apologize in advance if you can hear any outside music. It's not me, that's my roommate. We have thin-ass walls. If you're a Scorpio or Sagittarius, there's a good chance your parents fucked on Valentine's Day, because for most people, that's what it's known as, a day to fuck. But if you're like me, you know it as the Feast of St. Valentine, who was martyred because he refused to renounce his faith. Now I know it as the Philosopher's Stone of Love, or the mass ritual I threw at Howard University. Now let me start off by saying I'm an artist. This is important because I've kind of became known for throwing open mic events and shows around campus. I wish I had more footage, but I didn't record a lot since I was hosting, and I don't really speak to a lot of the folks from there anymore. But if I find anything, I'll scatter it throughout this video. And at the time, I was undergoing my dark night of the soul era. This, in magical terms, is essentially the phase in the initiate's life where he says, fuck it, I'll give this magic shit a try. And then everything goes to complete shit. And most people give up here and say magic is evil and terrible, and they become a hardcore fundamentalist and live in panic for the rest of their days. Don't ask me how I know this, by the way. But I kept going, and it led me to discover numerology. I know a lot of people shit on numerology because it's kind of new agey, but I think new age shit is cool because it literally led me to discovering the source of all of that shit. Kabbalah. And upon my mystical journey, I came across a teacher in the book by Manly P. Hall. My teacher was very influential on my neophotic brain because I couldn't see why taking mystical advice from a shaman with a shady criminal record, unstable finances, and broken marital structure was a bad idea. But hey, he set me on the right path, which allowed me to better understand the Philosopher's Stone. More on that later though. Also, I kind of feel insecure blatantly reading from a script, like not even trying to hide it because it kind of comes off as amateurish, but look, gang, this is my setup. I am a fucking amateur, bro. So, using my resources, various artist connections, and friends, I arranged an open mic in the following structure. 7 performers for the microcosm, symbolic of the lesser circle or material plane, for God created the world in 7 days, and there are 7 chakras, 7 hermetic principles, 7 traditional planets, the list goes on. I'm also writing this on February 7th, 7 days before Valentine's Day, and Quizlet wants me to start a 7-day free trial along with Duolingo. Next was a square, which was governed by 4 performers who wrote a piece related to one of the 4 elements, which govern the 7, or the world, or understanding how 7 equals 4 and 4 equals 7. After was a triangle, as is the trinity which governs all before and gives rise to the supernal triad of man, which allows us to be self-aware, distinguishing our intelligence from all the rest. There were also some alchemical elements, the tria prima, where I related the triangle to mercury, sulfur, and salt, which low-key would tie into the theme of spirit, as the 5th element is spirit, or consciousness, or light, so consciousness. And finally, 8 performers for the macrocosm, as 8 is larger than 7. The participants were organized through their astrological order and given the following topics. For the microcosm, pieces where they were most vulnerable, as this is the sphere related to the microcosmic or worldly problem. The square was patience/time, silence, appreciation, and light. The triangle, spirit or consciousness, depending on how you look at it. I guess I could also say light too. And the macrocosm. I asked these performers to recite a piece related to their overall grand purpose and how they would like to inspire and change the world around them. I didn't tell them this, but the micro and the macro was most definitely organized via talent and who I saw seriously leading the next wave and those I didn't. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. The ritual was held in Sankofa, which, according to Google's AI overview, is a concept that encourages learning from the past to inform the future. I think learning about mystical practices such as astrology, which have literally been taught for aeons, is about as on the nose as this could possibly get. That's the best one, by the way. I think it's so funny that just by talking about this event, I'm seeing similar patterns manifest. One of those being the energy of a neophyte, because while I thought I had everything under control back then, you'll soon find out I didn't. I fucked up. Just like I fucked up right here. Somehow I thought my microphone was on when recording because it literally was in the previous section, but there's no audio here. I turned the microphone off, even though I have no recollection of ever doing so. And I usually check after recording to see if there's audio, but I guess I didn't. But you know how Aleister Crowley says you should be able to do magic with nothing else but your mind? This is me putting that thought into action, because at the end of the day, all magic does is change your perspective. I'm not tripping. I wish I could have had the audio synchronized properly, because I literally set these tripods up to look like the number 11, with one side representing Boaz and the other Hakin, and me being in the middle to emphasize the trinity / middle path, but I guess this will have to do. Geez, I really should stop smoking before I start recording. In order to understand this concept, I cannot stress enough the numerical value of the number 11. It's one of those things that you'll have to look into for yourself, but essentially it stems from the number 5 representing man, the number 6 representing the universe. So the numbers 5 and 6 when added gives you 11. Unity, expressed by the 1, which combined makes it 2, for 0 equals 2. Because the moment nothing becomes aware, you have something to be aware of. So, no thing creates something, which gives you 2. I know that's trippy as fuck. Additionally, 7 plus 4 equals 11, and 3 plus 8 equals 11, which in turn gives 22, continuing the pattern set out from its half. The half being important because Valentine's Day is all about mingling and rubbing butt-ass naked with your other half. So it's this idea of 2 halves creating unity, and I will condensify this concept later towards the end of this video. The Bible says, "Come as thou art," and I think that perfectly encapsulates the full tarot. I had no real ceremonial ritual practice before. I don't even think I was raised a Mason yet. No, I definitely wasn't, because this event kickstarted the Death to Democracy recording era. I'm getting sidetracked. sidetracked. The point I was trying to make was that this event was not perfect. I fucked up. One of the stipulations was that the shapes were represented by various colors. It was black for circle 1, purple, blue, gold, and pink for the square, with pink substituting black for Binah since it was supposed to be the color of circle 1, red, blue, and green for the triangle, and white for the second circle. Well, I thought I told everybody in the microcosm to wear black and everybody in the macro white, but apparently I didn't. So everybody in the micro wore white and everybody in the macro wore black, almost as if the colors or the idea itself was inverted, kind of like these tarot cards we mentioned earlier. Pay attention. Originally the script was 77 flashcards long, for the conclusion at least, but I had to add one more card and I was hesitant to do so because I heard there was synchronatic significance with the number 77. I think it's highly revered in either the Golden Dawn or the AA, but I heard a voice that essentially said, I'm holding on to this number which I don't even truly understand due to fear. I feel like I would have fucked up if I didn't keep it at 77 despite me not truly understanding its significance. Essentially, I felt shame and guilt and like this ritual wouldn't work because I'm being presented with a predicament that's beyond my capability of understanding, consciously speaking. At the time, of course. I know it sounds a bit wonky, but that's just a reflection of how I grew up. Long story short, I ended up making another flashcard totaling at 78. And remember how I said the micro and macro were inverted? Well, 78 is the number of tarot cards in the standard deck. So my future was interacting with my present, which is how I view the triangle now. Past, future, and present. There's also 78 cards in the standard tarot deck. But wait, there's so much more. I say this because I'm currently in my tarot era, and since 78 governed the sphere of Malkuth, I knew to approach these cards for personal revelations and issues as opposed to macrocosmic events. The importance of 78, the micro macro, as above so below, is that the date 2/14/2024 gives 78 when split in half. 2 plus 1 plus 4 equals 7, and 2 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8. This ritual was literally inscribed within the very fabric of the macrocosm, kind of like how our astrological signs are inherently linked through us the moment we incarnate within this world. Again, I fucked up a lot this ritual. I forgot my lines, told people the wrong colors. Oh, I forgot I passed out these for the event too, which is what I've been presenting this on. I hung one up a couple weeks later at Sankofa and signed it. Hopefully it's still up there. If you ever go send me a photo, that'd be sick as fuck to check out. But it didn't matter. It was all about my intention. Why was I doing this? Was it to elevate humanity collectively through the only way I knew how, artistry? Or was it for more selfish reasons, such as to vampirically drain the collective energy at the moment and direct it towards my own personal gain? I don't know. All I know is that it worked. It fucking worked. I was shown a sign immediately after the event concluded. It's kind of like when you start doing certain ritualistic practices and then your life goes to shit. Kind of like what I was talking about earlier in the Dark Knight of the Soul era I entered. It was kind of like that, but literal glitches in the Matrix were happening. It was insane. And his spirit took me on a course that I thought would have taken me literal years to climb, which explains why this journey has been so goddamn intense. But I've loved and appreciated every single moment of this, for real. It's been an honor. This is the day I left the abyss, and there's a great revelation in that. It shouldn't take too long to figure it out. At least it did for me, but once I willed in understanding, it practically fell in place. There's so much I didn't even touch on, like really going deep into the colors, fleshing out the 4 worlds and alchemical elements in the square and triangle, the diamond, how it all relates to Kemet, and of course, what the Philosopher's Stone actually represents. But to be honest, I'm aiming to release this Valentine's Day. I don't want to do a ton of editing, and I know you guys have ant-sized attention span, so I'm trying to keep this under 5 minutes, but we'll see how I do. But I'm sure I'll be explaining this on the Breakfast Club one day, so I can truly go into more depth there. Or I can make a part 2, whichever comes first. But if you comment part 2, I'll do the part 2.